Come here.
Success. Success, Poppy. We've had success. We have.
Morning.
Morning. I'm on what? Oh, sorry, Pops. No, Ash, we're not going out for a walk yet. Not yet. You behave yourself away from this computer. Yes, we're not going out yet, Archie, no. After our Zoom meeting, we'll go out. Yes, we will. Yes, we will.
You out. Oh, okay.
Blimey. Sounds like a parrot. Or a budgie. Sounds like a budgie, doesn't it?
Hello.
Yes. Morning.
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 I'm just finding some treats. I forgot.
Oh.
Ooh. All right. Come on, Faith.
Didn't hear that, Julie. You're breaking up.
Who has a budgie?
I think it's
Hey.
Maria.
Yeah. Shut up. Who's that? Sid.
Sid.
Look, there's Sid. You see Sid there, look. Look, there's Sid. She's just went behind the laptop to see where she was. Confused.
You're going to come and sit here. You're going to come and sit on my knee and you'll be able to have a look, won't you? Look, there's Sid.
Confused.
Listen. Come and see. Look, there.
Get
there.
down there. Get down. Good
There.
girl.
Can you see now? Can you see?
There we go. Hello.
Landed.
That's it. Some treats.
Yeah. Mine are.
Oh.
Okay.
That's
Right. Okay, you're on silent. I do like the budgie though. I love that. I think, is it possible to introduce us? Would it be a pain to move your camera to show us? Only I can see a tail. It's cute. I did do a consult with somebody and they had a bird going on. It was when I'd only just started Zoom and I didn't understand about having to mute the other people to keep the sound good. And literally every word, there was a bird tweet taking the, so I just couldn't talk and I had no idea. I was completely flummoxed. So, and then there was another lady, it was just the birds in her garden, which we couldn't do anything about at all. So every time she was talking, all I could hear was birds. How do you do? I woke up at stupid o'clock last night, had a nightmare, I can't even remember what it was about. Started going internet surfing like you do, and appear to have accidentally joined a dating site. Maria's face. Okay, so you are the only people that know about this, and I'm going to impose upon you because I have no trust, having been single for 10 years. I've got no trust in my ability to choose a man or to trust anything that they say. So there you go, there's a job for you. So, you know, be ready to be accepting forwarded messages and requests for advice and, you know, mental breakdowns and such. I don't know why I've done it. It's just madness. But it was 3 o'clock in the morning, so it's not like I had a choice over it, was it? It was my other brain. So let's get an update from everybody because it seems to be, again, shockingly, I don't even know where 6 weeks goes. It just kind of disappears in a flurry, doesn't it? 6 weeks gone and it's our last one again. I have some ideas because we've been making notes. We've got somebody that needs advice on stopping car chasing. Somebody else said that they needed their recall redoing. There was something about I wanted to start the start button training because somebody said they were having handling issues with harnesses and things. So other than that, anybody else got anything to add that we can try and slide in? I know that's quite a lot for one session anyway. Yeah, go on then. Tell us.
Barking.
Barking. Still barking.
Demand barking.
Okay. All right. So we've got, let me make a piece of paper, recall and start button and car chasing. Now, the car chasing and recall might, because of something I've just recently, or I'm learning on a course that I'm doing, that might come together. So that might work out well as a almost single unit. So I think, what mood are they all in? Are they all in crazy mode?
Is Leanne not joining us?
She's there.
I'm here. Oh, I can't see you.
All right. Are you on a laptop or a phone?
Laptop.
Me, I'm on a mobile. Oh wait, who? Sorry.
Oh, hello.
If you have a look at the top, you should have the options for either gallery view or speaker view. So now if you've got it on one, you'll be able to see her, and on the other, you'll only be able to see whoever's talking. Does that make sense? Yeah? So if I have it on gallery view, just for now, that means that when you get your video copy, you've got just whoever's speaking. My hair's a real mess this morning. Wow. I can see just me spiky bits sitting on me spiky grey bits like this, and it's starting to annoy me. Okay, so what I was saying was, because I'm just in the middle of doing this course, which is teaching us trainers how to teach you clients how to do recall using the online training method, which is I'm really excited about. So I'm going to kind of use you as test subjects. But what I wanted to know just now is, what mood are all the dogs in? Are they relatively calm at the moment, or are they a bit crazy? So let's go with calm. No. Crazy. All right, so we'll start with the recall then, because it's going to be easier to, if they're already in wind-up mode, it's going to be easier. So we're going right back to basics. And the reason I think that this might work for the car chasing is it also massively increases focus on the owner. And I think that getting focus on you when there's situations that they're not coping with very well is part of the issue, you know. So getting them to look at you instead of looking at the car. The other thing obviously is the let's go, which we were practicing, should help with car chasing. Yeah, so what we're going to do, right back to basics, we're going to introduce a cue. Now, what will commonly have happened for the teenagers is whatever cue you've been using for your recall will have fallen apart because they've forgotten it. You know, it's either not in their brain anymore, or you haven't practiced it enough, or you've practiced it in ways that have made it come untaffled. So you've been calling them, but they're not able to prevent them from getting it wrong. So now we got to pick a brand new cue. And when I want you to pick a cue, I want you to think of something that is easy to keep in your brain, that your brain's going to go too quickly, that can be used in a high-pitched tone, that you're not going to say in normal conversation. So you're not going to accidentally be saying it and then not reinforcing it. Okay, so because I don't use it, I've been using with Dodo, who isn't here, typically Don's just borrowed him. I've been using the cue here, you know, because I haven't used that one. And what we're going to do is the classical conditioning, Pavlov style, say the word and then give a piece of food. But the food is going to be delivered to the feet. The word is going to be said randomly. So I don't want you always to already be looking at them. I don't want them to always be looking at you. Sometimes they can be, sometimes they can't be. We want to make a real direct connection between the word and the delivery of the food. Remember with cue, it's cue, tiny gap, and then move to deliver. Don't overlay the two. Otherwise the dog will just see the food. They won't hear the cue. They'll just see your body movement. Does that make sense? So Twiggy's probably not the best demo person for this, but I will show you, or have a go at showing you what I mean. Just change my angle. She's asleep right now, so she'd have probably been happy to do start button today. Maybe he's going to get involved as well, I'm sure. Hi, chicken. Can you wake up and work with me? Can you? Today. Oh dear. Reluctant puppy. You getting up? Good girl, hello. Okay. So we're going to go here. And the food goes directly on the floor. Needless to say, the faster and more awake person in the room got that one straight away. Here. Oh, Twiggy, you lost that one. That was my last one till I go and get some more. Woo! Fall off the chair. So that's all I want you to do. What you should find within sort of 10 treats, you should find that you're finding it hard to get away from your dog. That they're like, oh, No, chase. Gotta keep with them, got to focus on them. They might do something exciting. So all I want is 10 pieces of treat. I'm gonna put you all on big view so we can get a video of you doing it all at the same time. And one cue, tiny gap, then bend to put your food down. Yeah, and then move on, do it again. Oh, hang on, questions? You have to press your screen. Is there a button? Yeah.
Okay. Tilly's really pretty good at recall. So can I practice this using my usual recall and just reinforce? Yep.
If you haven't had a failure with your recall cue, then absolutely keep the same one.
Brilliant. Thank you.
I use a whistle with Poppy for a recall. So if I use because she's the car chaser, and she's usually pretty good at any other times, but the cars going up and down Taylor's Avenue sometimes are just a little bit too much for her. Plus, when we're leaving the house, if we're waiting to cross the road, she will sit at my feet, and then as the car comes past, she lunges to sort of chase after them. So I can use my word possibly on the field just as an extra reforce. But what do I do when I'm on the path waiting to cross the road?
Don't worry, we're getting to that bit. We're getting there. All right, everybody happy with that? Did you start to see it was hard to get away from your dog? Was the aim for that little bit. Now the next thing, one of the problems with humans from a dog's point of view, dogs are very, very good at watching us and reading us. And we become quite boring quite quickly because we tend to track into the same patterns, the same directions of walking, the same habits and behaviors when we're out walking. And quite quickly, they don't really need to pay a lot of attention to us. They're not really keeping us on their radar. So what we're going to do now is we're going to practice being a little bit more unpredictable. Yeah, so we're going to practice being a little bit more fun. So what we're going to do is we're going to run. Now I know that's not possible in the spaces that we have, but she came up with a solution for that, which I think is fab. What we're going to do instead of actually running is we're going to pretend run. So we're going to go like this. So it's 2 steps, literally, and then top. Trip over maybe. Baby's definitely the faster one in the pair. So it's still landing sort of near my feet. But what we've got is a dog who's kind of anticipating that you're going to run off with it. So they want to kind of chase you. We're not going miles with this at the moment. It's literally as you start to step forward to look as if you're about to run, the food is going down. Yeah, so cue first, little pretend run, toss your food. 10 treats. Let's see how you get on. I love Sid, her enthusiasm, just crazy. I know she's a crazy puppy, but I love her enthusiasm. I love that she gets so excited. Okay, so.
Stub your toe.
Oh, no. I think because you're in your own home, I'm not actually held responsible for that on insurance. Is it bad? Are you all right? Can you continue? Do you need us to send an ambulance? Okay. All right. So we've got that excitement to want to be with us. And it almost becomes not so much about the food anymore, which is one of the things we kind of want. We want them to want to chase us and keep an eye on us. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to change it up again. This time, what we're going to do is say your cue, but you're staying still. And you're going to roll the food from your feet. So don't toss it away, but roll it from your feet. So they see that the food's there. They're almost coming all the way into you, and then the food rolls away from them. So they have to then skitter after it. And again, it's about us being unpredictable. It's about the food delivery being unpredictable, which means they've got to look at us, focus on us more, get more intended with us. All right, so we're going to go like this. We're going to go here. Triggy's a bit better at this one than maybe. Here. Oh, now you got that one. Here. Okay, so it doesn't need to go a lot far away, but they come into your hand because the food is in your hand, so they come in towards you, and then the food is skittering away from them. Does that make sense? So 10 treats, go. And do you know what we've added, and the reason that your dogs are all going crazy? What we've added is a play element. We've added chase. We've added fun that is so high. Everybody just wants to be involved. You can see all of their faces. Now, they're not going to leave you alone, are they? And then you've got Sid who's saying, no, do it again, do it again, do it again, do it again, do it again. Yeah, and I'm sure if we had you on loudspeaker, we wouldn't be able to hear anything other than whooping. So again, being unpredictable. Right, so on the last one, I'm not sure I was very clear, and obviously I can't hear because I've got you on mute. But as they are running away, as soon as they've picked up that piece of food, you're calling them again. So you're doing your recall again. So they come into the hand, and then that piece skitters away from you. Yeah, was that clear? No. So one of the reasons for throwing the food away is so you can practice that sound again. You can get them to come in. Yeah. So didn't make that clear. That's my fault, and I apologize. It's the first time I've done it, and you're my guinea pigs. So there. All right. Okay, the next one is this time we're not going to move, but we are going to move. That's a bit awkward. So this is yoga. Plant your feet. Feet are not going to move, but you are going to move your body. So you are going to transfer your weight from one leg or the other. Yeah? Now watch Maybe's face. Look at Maybe. Yeah? And then I'm going to toss the food. But I might toss it that way, or I might toss it that way. Yeah? Now I'm not using the cue at the moment because I want her just to get used to this idea that she's really got to watch very carefully, because I might dodge one way or the other, or the food might go behind me that way. Does that make sense? So 10 treats, be really unpredictable, don't always toss the way that you're going, sometimes fake, sometimes I might go that way but then toss it that way. Does that make sense? So again, we're being really mixing the dog up, getting them to watch us and focus on us really hard, because these dogs think that they know you now. They think that they know what you're going to do. We want to teach them that they don't actually. Sid's already sitting still. You already, I was looking at everyone else. All right. So again, what you should be seeing is your dog getting excited, you're being unpredictable. So all we need to do with that one then is you can either keep your feet still, or you can turn it into that pretend run. Yeah. So your dog doesn't know whether it's going to be a feet still, just watch the hand. Make sure that you're skittering the food from your feet, because that's going to help us in the future get them to come all the way back into us. So we don't just toss it all of the time. Most of the time it's going to be coming from us, from our feet direction. So they want to come all the way in. So we're just going to mess it up. We're just going to be as unpredictable as we can. The cue happens when they're moving away from us or when they've got their back to us, because we want them to really start thinking, I heard that, there's going to be another one, and get that excitement, that anticipation of the fact that you might say it. Yeah. So sometimes when they come back, stand still. And then do a little dodge and a weave and a throw. Yeah, so you make it so you get that feeling inside the dog where they go, yeah. We want that sound, that cue, to cause that internal reaction, that jump, that startle, that reflex response that makes the body go straight into action mode. Does that make sense? So that's what we're aiming at, is to get that going. So let's really put all of that together and just be really silly. Let's see how excited we can get these dogs. Yeah? I know you don't want Sid to get any more excited, I know. But it will all be worth it in the end. Beautiful. I love it. Well, I'm enjoying it anyway. It's making for really good video. What I might do in a minute is I'd really quite like, because the lady who's designed the course is called Kay, and I've known her for a long time, and I'm sure she'd enjoy a bit of feedback of you lot looking so brilliant. And I think as well it means I can take you off mute, so I can listen to when you're saying your recall cue, make sure that that's going all right. But what I want to talk about first of all is, as with any new behaviour, and this new cue linked to this exciting startle reflex response is a new behaviour. Although you've got a recall already, the startle response that we're trying to get inside the dog is new. Does that make sense? Yeah? So I don't want you to practice it where it's going to get messed up. I want these dogs tested in loads of low excitement situations until you are 100% that every time you say it, the dog is flinging themselves towards you. They'll stop mid-step or mid-run to fling themselves towards you. If you start using it out in the real world, what you're going to end up with is another cue that is failing and will therefore not be functional for what you want it to be. So in the meantime, management, obviously, if you've got an issue where your dog is failing and they're running off and they're not coming back and you're getting into nagging mode, then you need to be on the long line. You need to be protecting them from getting it wrong, which is, you know, it's not nice, but it's safety first always. Once you've got them completely addicted and you can be in a different room and say you recall and you hear things go skittering across the floor because the dog's knocking bits of furniture out of the way to get to you as quickly as possible, then you know that it's likely to function in the real world. Does that make sense? Then you can start testing it out there in the real world. Okay, who's going first for an individual video? All right, so yeah, what I would like to see, all right, Maria, hello. 2 seconds. What I would like to see is each of the individual elements. So the cue word on its own with food at the feet, the sliding the food away from your feet, the dodging and pretending you're going to move, the actually moving for the 2-step run. Yeah, so I'd like to see them all as individuals, and then you can completely mess it all up together. You don't have to do them in any particular order. I'd just like to see you change from one to the next. Does that make sense to everybody? Yes-ish. Leanne's pulling faces at me. Don't worry, there's no wrong here. You know that by now. Okay, Maria.
So if Missy's got a good recall at the minute anyway, so are we still doing this? You're on mute.
It's up to you. You can use it to strengthen the recall that you've got. As long as that recall, I have to trust you that it really is over 80% and 100%. If you've got a recall with a teenager, then I would suggest retrain. Does that make sense?
Didn't hear some of that, Julie.
If you've got a really solid 100% recall all of the time, then keep that cue. But if that recall cue is sometimes failing with a teenager, I would be tempted to retrain it and get this startle response, which you won't have for your original cue. Does that make sense? Yes-ish. If you're not sure, test it. So do 10 recalls out on your walk, and what we're looking for is does the dog instantly respond? Do they instantly show a change in behavior? Do they instantly start to orientate towards you? And do they do it over 80% of the times that you call? Yeah. So if 10 times on a walk, is your dog back with you? every single time, regardless of what.
Not every single time.
Yeah. So if you've got a
But
feeling,
pretty much, maybe twice on a full walk, she just gets seen a bird, I'm going.
okay. So it's up to you. I think if I've got any, I'm gonna redo Dodo totally. You know, I'm now seeing his response to this type of training. I'm going to go with it, and once I've got him, because you should see him when I've got a big space, but a safe space to do it in. He's just turning himself. He's turning himself inside out to get to me with this method. So, yeah. Now, since you're already, you know, on loudspeaker, I think you should go first.
For me. Can you see? I forgot what I'm doing. Oh, she's lost it, sorry. Okay. Did you see any of that? Oh.
No. Oh. Okay. You remember? Come. Good girl. Come. Good girl. Right now. I did it. Right, come. Good girl. Come. Good. Come. Good girl. Ready. Okay. Come. Good girl. Good girl. Okay. Come. Which way? Good girl. Ready. Good girl. Good girl. There you go.
So you muted. If you mute yourself, fabulous. Okay, so one thing with Leanne, you're already bending. When she was talking about the course, she was talking about not getting into the habit of using the food to lure the dog into you, not having the food on view. Yeah, and that means your body language is the thing that's going to, because food's going to fail. We want the sound, the cue, and the fact that we might run off. We want that to become the stronger influence there. So the food needs to come down, which is why I want my hands up here. The food needs to come down once they're already on their way to us. Does that make sense? So that's when it becomes visible. And if you're using a toy, it's the same. You're going to coil them with the toy behind your hands or inside your jacket so they can't see it. You're going to come, yeah, and then you're going to get the toy out and play as they're coming into you already. Does that make sense? Yeah. So who's not had a go yet? Let's see. You're going to look at your screens to see who's just been selected. She's looking away because she don't want to know.
Come on, see. Oh.
I actually have cocked up because I've changed the cue. Instead of saying here, I've been saying come.
Meh. Anyone would think you were human, wouldn't they? Okay. Ooh, who shall we pick on next? Eeny, meeny, miny. Have we got a volunteer? You're going to go for it. Jill's going to go for it. Remember to unmute yourself, darling. Brilliant. Well done.
Right, wait a minute. Can you see? Can you see? Right. Ellie! 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 Coming back. Right, that's it. I've run out, I'm in limited space.
So, Twiggy just started growling and getting excited because, so she had to come over. She had to come over to get a bit of reassurance because she thought your voice was really exciting. I don't know, something about, she doesn't normally bother with the telly. But, so we've got one person left, haven't we? Yeah.
Here we go. She's just going to sleep, so. Come on then. Yippee! 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 Oh, lost it. Yippee! Good girl.
So, yeah, I think, well, I mean, I know you lot are already, although you might not realise it, I know you lot are already pretty perfect. And I know even with Sid, now Sid, bless her, came with this frustration intolerance issue. The fact that as soon as she gets frustrated, she'll start telling you about it. And it is, I understand, because Dodo has his horrible whiny thing going on. Yeah, it's not barking, it's not maybe as irritating as putting up with somebody who is actually actively barking in your face, but it, you know, it soon gets on your wig. But what I did say, and I did say it jokingly on the WhatsApp, was that we've got dogs who understand that they can ask us for things. We've got dogs who can communicate with us and feel that they can say and they have got an opinion, and I love that. And I'm afraid with somebody like Sid, who doesn't deal very well with frustration, you have got this issue then that that's her way of using her communications to let you know. All right, what I might be tempted to do with somebody like Sid is give her a lot of alternative ways of telling you exactly what she wants, rather than kind of she barks and you figure out what it is she's trying to tell you. Perhaps that she learns, for example, if it's a walk, she goes and finds the lead and indicates that to you. If it's the water bowl, she goes and she clanks up the water bowl. If it's that she needs to go out, that there's a bell for her to ring. Hello, monkey. Yeah. So, and she's an intelligent person. This is not meaning any insult to any of the others, but I think she might be the brightest in the group and therefore the most irritating. Yeah. All right, you're not convinced, but you know, you have, I think, maybe it's competition, I think, between Jill and you for the highest intelligence dog and the highest sort of needs input from owner type of dog. All right, but if you want to, I mean, I think you've probably got the skills to figure out how to give her different ways of telling you. So if she were an autistic child, you would give her picture cards that she could touch to tell you what she wants. But I think with mine, for example, Twiggy will come and she will sit and she will woo at me, and that's because she needs to go out. Dodo will rattle the keys in the back door, and that means he wants to go out. Maybe, in fact, everybody, if there's no water in the bowl or the water's getting low, they make it really loud with their collars. They'll properly clang it with their collars on purpose, and they know that I'm always going to respond to that. So have a think about what she can do that is going to be less irritating. Because if you just, you've got your woof shush, so hopefully that's starting to have an effect. But if you just shush her every time she's asking for something, you're leaving a vacuum of need, aren't you? And all she's going to do is put something else or continue to do the woofing, because with the best will in the world, we can't always ignore a whinging or a woofing dog, which is why Dodo still whinges. Yeah. So you need to put something else into that vacuum. You need to put something, a way of her saying, this is what I want. Yeah. Because what we don't want to do is get into the habit of just saying to our dogs all of the time, grr, I hate you, go away from me. But having said that, did I teach you the go away cue and how to get it? No? Right, we'll do that then. I just remembered because I used it yesterday for a client. So like any cue, cue first, little gap, then you're going to reinforce where you want them to be. So obviously if you're teaching them go away, in other words, whatever you're doing right now is not going to be reinforced, go away from me, and that will be reinforced. Yeah, so it's not a nasty cue, but eventually you'll be able to use it without having to reward them for it. So let's see. And again, Dodo's the one who's actually training this at the moment, but Twiggy, bless her, Miss Sensitive Heart, I'll probably only manage to show you this twice because she'll refuse to come in again. Twiggy, ready? Go away. Go away. So the food is going to go behind me and over the top of the dog. If you're training them to go away to a particular place, it's going to go towards that, so towards the bed or, you know, the other end of the room if that's where you'd rather they be. Obviously, with maybe in the way, Twiggy's not going to get anything here. So first of all, what we want to think about is, are you going to be giving the dog attention? No, we're teaching them this means no attention, doesn't it? So I'm going to go away. And I'm not going to give eye contact, but I am going to throw the food. Did that go under the cupboard? Did it? You get that bit. I am going to throw the food beyond them, behind me. And I can do that blindly if I know if I'm in a certain environment in my living room or whatever. So here she comes and she says, no point coming all the way over to the person anymore. Yeah, no point nagging at them. So they start to hold themselves back. Yeah, and I'm going to look at her, but I'm going to look away and I'm going to say, go away. And she caught that one with her paw. Go away. So all of the reinforcement is further away from me. And if it's working, what you'll start to see is the dog holds themselves back. Yeah, so they start not coming all the way back into you. Go away. And she says, I'll try this because this is a more polite behaviour, but I'm going to make sure the food goes beyond her. Yeah, there's definitely one underneath the cupboard over there. Good girl. Go away. So here's Maybe, who's a right little nag. Come here. Go away. And she's obviously had many, many years of living with me with that cue. So you saw her response was to take herself as far away as she can in this room. Does that make sense? So it's just another cue. If you want to have a quick go at that, if your dogs are still playing. Sid's finally stopped nagging and now I'm asking you to wind her up again. How typical is that? Hello, Maria, questions?
Yeah, Missy learnt this from a very early age because I work from home. She'll every now and again she'll come to us wherever we are working, and she'll come and she'll stand and look at us, and if we make a fuss of her, and then we'll come and see what she wants, or we can just go, and she will just go and she'll lie at the door and wait until we can give her some attention. So she's had to learn this, and she does do it.
What I really like about it actually is that once you've got the go away cue starting, you can mix it up. So you can ask them to come to you, reward that coming to you, and then tell them go away and reinforce behind them for the go away. When you've got two conflicting cues that mean two completely separate behaviours that are not able to be done at the same time, they actually strengthen each other. Because the dog starts to understand, when I hear this sound, I need to do that behaviour. When I hear this sound, I need to do that behaviour. And they're conflicting. So you can't lay down and jump up at the same time. Does that make sense? Yeah? All right. So that's one thought on that. And Jill says, is that going to be useful to you, do you think, Jill? Hang on, unmute.
Sometimes if she's wanting to play tug, because Poppy's a great tug player, and she'll just come to me with her toy and jump on me and whatever. So that would be useful sometimes then, I think. I think probably that's the only time I would use that though, because she's not too bad otherwise. But I must say, the bit we've just done, I was using Hawaii. I've been using that while you've been talking about things, because she's up at the window barking at people, and I've used it and she's come straight back. So we've been practicing that. So she's quite good. Oh wait. There we are. She's down with me again. Back up.
All right, so I said I'd start some start button, and hopefully they're all a bit calmer. So the idea, the philosophy with the start button is that the dog has a way of telling you that it is okay for you to carry on. So we're giving them control, especially for situations where the dog's not comfortable. So with putting the harness on, for example, if the dog doesn't actually want you to do that thing, then we want to actually give them control. Because although it sounds like that's going to mean the dog's going to choose never to have their harness put on, what actually happens is, with behaviors that they don't really want, if you give them control over that situation and you make that situation predictable, they will start to allow it to happen. And there was a really, really nasty study done on this. And they had rats who were trapped in a box. And it's a gross experiment, and you wouldn't be allowed to do it anymore because the welfare rules on our animal experimentation have changed. But they were administering electric shocks to rats. And the rats were trained to press a lever to get food, first of all, yeah? And then they were, every time they pressed a lever, they were given a mild electric shock, but they were still getting the food afterwards, yeah? They slowly bigged up the electrical shock until it was really, really strong, and the rats were still choosing to press the lever, okay? And it's foul, I know it's foul, but the point is they had control of both the electric shock by pressing the lever and getting the reward. Does that make sense? And because they had control over it, they did a further experiment that showed, in a similar sort of setup, that the animals who were able to predict by controlling that horrible thing happening to them, their cortisol levels, their adrenaline and stress response hormone levels were lower than the ones who were given the shocks unpredictably. All right, so giving your animal choice, making the situation predictable, having them be able to say, no, this is too hard for me, I'm going to dip out on it just now, will actually eventually lead to them saying, it's okay, we can do that. All right, so what is the start button? What does the start button look like? Well, it depends on what behavior you're planning on getting. So we did already sort of start this a little bit. It depends which piece of body or how you want it to function. So you teach the start button first. So your start button might be, for example, the chin rest, so that the chin's resting and the rest of the body's still, which we've already done. It might be put your feet on a target so that you're in a particular position. So for example, with Twiggy, having her put her feet up on the table so that I can then get underneath her and do things to her would be a useful position for her to be in. It might be stand square on a block, or you know, so all 4 feet are square in a position for grooming, for example. It might be to put your paw onto something for nail trimming. And what happens is, once you've got that start button, that behavior trained, then you start saying to your dog, now I'm going to just make these little movements towards your final goal. But we're not going to go straight in and grab the paw. We're just going to do a quick touch to begin with. We're going to put little tiny steps towards our final goal. Yeah. So I know you will know this. You just don't know that that's what it's called. You have seen this done. All right. So we'll see what Twiggy can come up with for me. Just, I think if she's happy to work with me, we'll get her to put paws up on the desk, because then I can get a view of it in theory. Whoops, just about there-ish. All right, Twiggy, you're working. Twiggy, anytime today. Twiggy, so I'm going to put my treats there so they're easy to reach for me, but not for her. Come here. Maybe go lie down. Twiggy, I want you. Twig. Can you put your paws up? Put your paws up. That's a chin. Put your paws up. Yes. Good girl. Put your paws up. That's still a chin. Paws. Come on up. Yes. Okay. Stay there. Yes. Okay. Yes. Turn on. So what you can't see is the rest of her, because I can't get my angle, but the rest of her, she's like this. She's got a full-on body shape, which is hard to hold. Yeah, it's difficult to hold. So we could have an alternative, and again, it depends on how you want your final. So you could play with different shapes that you get your dog into. So if I was going for paws, perhaps my start button would be put your paw in my hand. And once that start button is happy and she's happy to hold it, yeah, she says, are my other paws slipping? So she needs a non-slip surface for this. Once they're happy and comfortable keeping it still, then you start doing little movements. Little movement, and I can reward you if you can maintain that position that we've trained. Yeah? If you need to move away because that's too hard, that's fine as well. There's no getting into trouble here. There's no getting angry or upset with them. If it's too hard, when you start moving around, they don't get that reward, but you say to yourself, okay, we're going to reduce the difficulty. So how do you know to reduce the difficulty? How do you know that actually you're pushing too hard and it's too upsetting for the dog? Well, what we do is a little score sheet in our head. You try 3 times. If your dog has failed on all 3 times, you know that that step's too high. That's too much. Yeah? So if they failed twice, maybe you can stay, if they failed only once out of the 3 times, so you've got 2 right, you can stay at that level and not push on to the next level. But if they're getting it right 3 times in a row, take a step up. Yeah, see whether or not that next step. And that way, by trying 3 times on each different level that you want to get to, you can quite rapidly get to where you want. So with her, I think I've mentioned quite often, she had really big ear sensitivity issues. And so this is what we did with the start button. Can you come here? And put your chin. Good. There's chin with a touch on the head. Chin. Chin with a little tiny ear touch. Put your chin on. So her putting a chin on means yes, you can. Yeah. and I slowly build up until I can do, and we can apply eardrops, we can stick an oroscope down her ear, you know, from somebody that was really silly sensitive about her ears, she'll put up with a lot of, and in fact, to a degree, I would say she actually likes having her ears played with now as well. All right. So what would I do if we did an actual training plan for the harness then? So who's having problems with the harness? Sid and, oh, everybody. Yay, good. So what I would do with the harness is I would teach a standstill, first of all. So one of the most important things is that dog can maintain position regardless of what we're doing. Does that make sense? Once they're really good at standing still on the target, make it really easy for them to get it right, then we're going to show them the harness. See if they can stand still while the harness is on view. Yeah, and they get paid for standing still. The harness goes away, it goes behind your back or it goes elsewhere. Yeah, so stillness would be my main first starting point. So anybody shout out or stick your hand out if you know how we would get stillness to begin with, other than a foot target or a rug target. What's a really nice and easy way to get stillness? You know this.
Sit.
Sit. Is that going to make it easy to put a harness on?
No.
Touch.
Touch. Touch.
Yeah.
Good, touch. Fab. Okay. So touch would be a good start point. We're going to get that sustained touch. Yeah. Like that. And then we're going to start introducing. The harness comes on view. If the dog can do it, yes. And they get rewarded. Harness is out of view. We reset to the start button. Harness comes into view, comes closer. Yes. Does that make sense? And you slowly change. Now, obviously, at some point with the harness, you need two hands. So can anybody think of a solution to be able to get your two hands free? Using touch. Or target.
On your knee.
On your knee, you could do.
Chin on your knee. Which Missy does anyway. That's, what's that? Bit of paper.
Target touch.
Okay, so here you go. Touch. Yes. Touch. Twig. Touch. Yes. So we haven't done this, so you've seen it right from the beginning. Touch. Yes. That'll do. So it's easier for them if you make your first target something like a beer mat that you stick, so it's bigger and it's easier to target. And you can start with it in your hand. Yes. All right. But post-it notes are quite good. This one is yellow and it's on a yellow desk, so it's not much use. If you think about it, she probably can't even see it. Yeah, but something like this, yes. Yes. All right. Then we can teach and maintain that target. Yes. Good girl. And then we can start bringing in movements, because we've now freed up both hands. We can start teaching her target that object, that whatever it is, post-it note or particular doorknob. You know, it doesn't have to be anything special. Target that, and then I will start doing these movements. If you can maintain contact with that target, you will get paid, you will get reinforced. All right, so has anybody got an object or a thought? Here we go. Oh, Can't hear you. Let's try again.
Is that better? Can you hear me? Yeah. Because we all have to put our harnesses on at least twice a day, sometimes 3 times a day. You're doing your training, but you're almost breaking your training because you're having to force the issue and say, I'm sorry, you've got to do it. That's where I get confused. Easily done.
Do you know that's one of the most sensible questions ever in the whole wide world? Okay, so how's about, look at it from the dog's point of view. We can make the picture massively different. Yeah, we can make the picture for we are training look entirely different from the this is how it happens. This is when I'm just going to make it happen. So, and my example of this, I can manage a couple more minutes, I think. My example of this is Chirag Patel. When we went to the zoo on the professional animal course, the lion trainer's question was, every time we take people in to see the lions in the internal enclosure where we're trying to train different skills to have injections or blood draws or things like that, every time we take people in there, the lions are getting overexcited, they're getting frustrated because they know that there's going to be a training session. But sometimes we want to take people in there just to see them, just to be close to them and to get a good view without any training session. So there won't be any feeding, there won't be any meat. Okay? And so it's, if you think about it, it's exactly the same question, isn't it? How does your dog know the difference between training session and a not training session? And how do you not mess up what you're doing? Well, the answer is, on this occasion, wear a red hat. All right. So when the trainers were wearing red hats, there was going to be a training session. When the trainers were not wearing the red hats, or they were wearing any other color hat, it wasn't a training session. And the lions became much calmer as a result. Okay. So we can do exactly the same with our dogs. We make sure that the picture for training looks different in a really obvious and predictable way. So you might train at one end of the house and you only have that target, you know, whatever your target is, available at those training sessions. But when you're actually going for a walk and you're putting the harness on, you're doing it at the other end of the house. You haven't got your target yet. You're not wearing your red hat. Does that make sense? And that way it doesn't actually mess up your training. Because in one scenario, the dog has choice. In the other scenario, the dog isn't going to be given the choice. All right. Eventually, when you've got the behavior trained and the harness is going on, then you can start to move your training position. So the mat and or whatever you're using moves towards where you actually want the behavior to be trained to happen. Does that make sense? Does it sound doable, or does it sound all very trainery? You're happy with that? Maria's kind of looking a bit bewildered.
That was the one thing really just didn't, I couldn't get my head round. I knew what you were trying, what it was supposed to do, but I couldn't get my head round, well, she doesn't like it. So if I say that's okay, but no, that answers it. Thank you.
So, sorry.
I understand the change the picture. I don't have a problem with Mrs. Harness. She doesn't. She'll just stand and look at it, and we can put it on. But an example of the picture to a dog's eye view is she always sits at a curb. We've taught her to sit at a curb and wait for traffic, and every curb she comes to now, she will see it and she will look at me and go, "We got to sit here, haven't we, Mum?" And she'll almost sit before I even say, and she'll look at that picture and do it.
Okay, beautiful. And actually, did I get any of you, I mean, I'm trying to turn you into behaviour and training geeks, which I know not everybody wants to be, but there's a fabulous podcast, which is free. You don't have to pay for it. And there is one single talk on there, which immediately comes to mind with what you've just said. And it is all about cues, and the fact that cues are not just what we say, not just what we do, but what is in that environment. And the pavement, you've got no control over when a pavement's going to suddenly turn up, but it has, as you've said, become a really predictable cue for that behavior. Yeah. But yeah, so if you want to take a note, it'll be on your video if you ever want to play it back. But I love the title of this podcast. If you want to get geeky, some of it, you know, is just gonna send you to sleep if you're not geeky excited about stuff. So here we go. There you go. So that's what it's called. Can you read it? So it's called Drinking from the Toilet. And I don't know whether or not it says bowl as well, but I always remember it as bowl. And the lady who hosts a lot of different speakers is called Hannah Brannigan. And she's a master's degree holder who's doing very well for herself, bless her. Very geeky. And she's getting some very, very good speakers. And if you want to really geek out on trainer talk and hear what they sort of think of us as clients as well, some of it's really fun as well. It's not all just boring sciencey. She's a nice person. She's a nice person to listen to as well. If you can download them while you're on the internet and listen to them in your car or whatever. You don't have to use up your data. So yeah, anyway, so I bet I could say goodbye, I guess. Go do some other people, you know. But yeah, I'll keep you up to date with my impending love life. If anyone even shows any interest, of course, you know, chances are they'll just look at me and they'll go, oh my God, that woman can't even be bothered to do makeup. I'm looking, I don't even know what I'm looking for. I don't even know if I'm really looking for a man, to be frank. But yeah, I've paid the money. I seem to have done it all in my sleep last night via PayPal. So, you know, yeah, tell me about it, Leanne. That is the face. Yeah, that one. She just went. Yeah, that's exactly what it feels like. All right, let's unmute you all, cause. Oh,
muted.
Unmuted, I think.
There we go.
Come here.
thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, thank you. Good luck with your man search.
Yeah, good luck, Julie. We're
It'll be
here for
fine,
you.
it'll be amazing. Absolutely.
Yeah, bye.